Our next calling point is to understand Linux software licensing. Whoever has developed the distribution or the software will release it underneath a license, and that license will dictate how we are allowed to use that software. Very commonly, we might be using the General Public License, the GPL license. Other licenses such as the MIT, the Apache, or the BSD licenses are all commonly available with their own unique terms. Understanding these licenses is crucial for yourselves as users, developers, and sysadmins, and of course for the exams. The licenses dictate how software can be used, modified, and redistributed. You're going to learn how you can find out your rights to the actual operating system itself, the Linux kernel. The Linux kernel is released under the GPL version 2 license. First, we can make sure that we've got the source code, the actual code that makes up the kernel. We can move into our USR, Unix System Resource Directory, and our source directory. And from there, we're going to be able to unzip the Linux source for the particular version we're using. Once we've done that, we can move into the Linux source directory for the version we've downloaded, and then we can look at the copying file, which will say how we're able to use this based on the license. So I think it's about time we moved back to our Linux system so we're able to check the kernel license. So let's go through and see if we can find that glorious Linux system. And here we are with our command line open. The first thing that we need to do is install our kernel source code. So I'm going to elevate my privileges with sudo, and I'm going to use the software packager apt to install the package, just accepting anything that it needs to do with a -y, and our software package name is going to be Linux source. I need to authenticate with my password through to the sudo system, and we can see now that the package is being installed from online repositories. Once it has installed, I'm ready then to clear my screen with Ctrl and L, and I can move into the root file system, USR for Unix System Resources, and then source, SRC, for our source code. When I look in here using the ls command, we can see that we have a zipped up file, the tar.bz2 file. I'm going to go through and again using sudo to elevate my privileges. I'm going to unpack it with the tar command, our tape archive command, -x to expand, -f for the file name, and notice that we're using then Linux source and the actual version name, not the pseudocode you saw in the slide. But with this then, we can hit the enter key and allow tar to unpack our file. As I hit enter, it might take a little while. I've cut a little bit of the process out, but we have now unpacked that file. With that done, I can move into the Linux-source directory. And when I list this directory with ls, we can see now that we have expanded our kernel source code, the actual text that is compiled to make our kernel. But if I list the contents of the copying file, we're able to see that this is released underneath the GPL2 license, and it explains where I might find that license and any additional requirements added in for that license.